My name is Selene, and I am 84 years old. I am telling you this because I have something urgent to say. If you live alone, you must avoid nursing homes at all costs. I went into one for a short rehab stay. I learned the brutal reason to stay away. It's a business. We are not people there. We are expenses to be managed. Quiet, medicated, and gone is the most profitable outcome. Let me tell you what happened. It started with a silly fall, a loose rug in my hallway. My daughter Clara lives 3 hours away. She insisted I go to Sunset Gardens for a few weeks of therapy. She said it was for my safety. I agreed. I didn't want to be a burden. The brochure showed sunny courtyards. The reality was a lobby that smelled of antiseptic and boiled cabbage. A woman named Janice did my paperwork. She called me dear in a way that felt like a pat on the head. I was assigned to room 12B. My freedom was handed over at that desk. The simple act of making my own tea was gone. My first night introduced me to my roommate, Mabel. She was 92, a tiny bird of a woman. She barely spoke. A nurse's aide named Leo came to get her ready for bed. He was rough, yanking her arms. Mabel winced. I said, "Be gentle with her, please." He gave me a flat, cold stare. "We have a schedule to keep, Mrs. Selly. You'll learn." After he left, Mabel whispered in the dark, "Don't make them angry. The pills are worse if you make them angry." I felt a deep, cold dread settle in my stomach. This was not a place of healing. I decided to keep my head down. But then I met Walter. He was across the hall, a former history teacher, sharp as a tack. We talked by the nurse's station. He was my ally. We shared crossword puzzles. He told me about the Sunday list. Every Sunday, the head nurse, Miss Brackett, would review files. Walter said people on the list got a stronger medication cocktail. They became drowsy shells. They target the troublemakers, Selene, he said, the ones who ask questions. I thought he was paranoid. Then I asked Janice for a copy of my therapy schedule. She smiled that tight smile. "I'll get that for you, dear." The next day, Walter was different, slurred, sleepy. He couldn't finish his sentences. I realized Walter was on the list because of me. I had to do something. I tried to call Clara. The common room phone was out of order. My cell phone was gone from my nightstand. When I reported it missing, Leo said, "Things get lost here, old-timer. You probably forgot." I was isolated. I watched Miss Brackett make her rounds. She carried a leather notebook, the Sunday list. Mabel saw my distress. She gripped my hand. "They want us quiet," she whispered. "They want us to just fade away. It's easier for them." Her clarity was terrifying. She wasn't senile. She was traumatized into silence. The brutal reason was becoming clear. I became a model resident. I smiled. I took the pills but didn't swallow them. I hid them in my cheek. I needed my wits. I listened to the aides. They talked about bonuses for low incident months. An incident was a fall, a complaint. I saw a new resident, Mr. Evans, argue about his lost wedding ring. He was shouting. Within 2 hours, he was in a wheelchair, slumped and drooling. A new medication for his agitation. It was a demonstration. Walter stopped recognizing me. My friend was gone, replaced by a breathing void. My grief turned into a cold, hard resolve. The crisis came with Mabel. It was a Tuesday. Leo was transferring her from her bed. I saw his hand slip, or maybe it didn't. Mabel cried out as she hit the floor. "She's restless," Leo announced, trying to get up on her own. Mabel had a cut on her forehead. There was a flurry of paperwork, an incident report. Miss Brackett appeared. She looked at Mabel, then at me. I was the witness. That night, Mabel was given a shot. For the pain, they said. She never really woke up again. She became a silent, sleeping form behind the curtain. They had moved her to the terminal category with one needle, and I was next. I had one chance. My weekly video call with Clara was the next day. The facility iPad was brought to me. Miss Brackett set it up, positioning the camera. Clara's face appeared. "Mom, you look tired." I smiled, my heart hammering. "I am, darling, just a bit." I kept my voice light. I talked about the weather. Then, as our time was ending, I leaned forward. "Clara, do you remember Walter? He's not doing well. He's on the Sunday list now. And poor Mabel had a fall. She's on the list too." Clara frowned. "The Sunday list? What's that?" Miss Brackett shifted nearby. I looked into the camera, my smile never wavering. "It's nothing, dear. Just how they organize the medication schedules here. It's very efficient." I saw the understanding dawn in Clara's eyes. She knew me. She knew I was speaking in code. The wait after that call was the longest of my life. For 2 days, nothing. The tension was a weight on my chest. Leo was extra attentive, watching me take my pills. I'd pretend to swallow, my mouth dry. I was sure I saw my name in Miss Brackett's notebook. I prepared for the needle, for the long sleep like Mabel. Then, on the 3rd day, chaos. I heard loud voices in the hall, not the usual hushed tones. State health inspectors arrived, unannounced. So did 2 police officers, and Clara was with them, her face pale but fierce. There was shouting, demands for records. Miss Brackett's composure cracked. Her voice got shrill. "This is highly irregular." I was whisked into an office with the kind-faced inspector. "Take your time, Mrs. Selly," she said, and I told her everything. It all came pouring out. The Sunday list, my missing phone, Walter's silencing, Mabel's fall, and the shot that followed. I showed her the tissue in my drawer where I hid my unswallowed pills. My hands shook. The inspector's face grew very still, very serious. She took notes. She asked for names. Leo, Janice, Miss Brackett. But freedom wasn't a clean ending. I live with Clara now. The investigation is ongoing. Sunset Gardens is closed, but Walter never recovered. He was transferred, but the damage was done. He died in a different facility, a ghost of the man I knew. Mabel passed a week after her fall. The official cause was complications from a stroke. I know the truth. I survived, but I carry them with me every day. The brutal reason I learned is that for some of these places, we are not people. We are units. Expenses to be minimized. Quiet, medicated, and gone is the most profitable outcome. My friendship with Walter, my witness of Mabel, that made me a liability. They don't fear the elderly. They fear the elderly who still have a voice. They fear the ones who remember. They fear the ones who remember. And I remember everything. The hardest part wasn't the fear or the waiting. It was after. After I was safe in Clara's spare room, the quiet. That's when it all hit me. I sat on the bed in the silence and I broke. I cried for Walter. I cried for Mabel. I cried because I was alive and they weren't, and I felt guilty for it. Clara found me like that. She sat beside me, put her arm around my shoulders. She didn't say anything for a long time. Then she whispered, "I'm so sorry, Mom. I sent you there." And that was the deepest cut. She blamed herself. I had to make her understand. I took her hand. My voice was raw. "No, you were worried. You loved me. They counted on that. They built a business on that love, on turning it into fear and then into silence." I told her about the last real conversation I had with Walter before the list. We were doing a crossword, 17 across, a fundamental truth. He didn't even look at the clues. He just looked at me and said, "Personhood, Selene. The answer is personhood. Never let them convince you you've lost it." The next day he was gone. That's what they took, not just his mind or Mabel's life. They tried to take their personhood, and they almost took mine. The cost was too beautiful, complicated people, reduced to a line in an inspector's report. Walter's family got a call about his peaceful decline. Mabel's nephew was told she'd had a sudden stroke. The lies were the final insult. The truth was a choice they made for profit. I realized then what I truly lost: my trust. Not just in places, but in the world's basic kindness. I look at my own hands now, these old hands, and I wonder how many others they've held down for a shot. I sleep in a soft bed, but I still hear Mabel's cry when she fell. I see the empty chair where Walter should be, doing his puzzle. The cost is carrying that every day. You don't get to leave it at the door when you're rescued. You wear it. But here's the thing I'm starting to see. The beginning of something. They failed. However they tried to silence us, they failed. I remember. Clara remembers. The inspector remembers. Walter's truth about personhood outlasted him. Mabel's whispered warning in the dark was her rebellion. And my voice, telling you this now, is ours. They wanted us to fade away quietly. We didn't. They wanted us to fade away quietly. We didn't. And that's the lesson, the only one that matters. I was wrong about so much. I was wrong to think being a burden was the worst thing I could be. I was wrong to trade my independence for the illusion of safety. The worst thing is to be invisible. Arthur, my husband, he used to say, "Ellie, the day you stop being a little bit of trouble is the day I'll worry." I'd forgotten that. I thought love meant making things easy for Clara. But real love, the kind that lasts, isn't about ease. It's about presence. It's about being seen, even when seeing is hard. I should have fought harder to stay in my own home, even with the loose rug. I should have asked for help, real help, not institutional surrender. I should have trusted that my voice, my complaints, my needs were not burdens, but proof I was still here. So here is my advice, plain as I can make it. If you're my age or getting there and you live alone, do this now, today. Have the hard talk with your people, not about the weather. Sit them down. Say, if I fall, here is what I want. Do not put me in a home for rehab. Hire someone to come in. Move a cot into the living room. Do anything else. Give someone you trust, really trust, the legal power to speak for you. Get one of those alert pendants. They seem silly until you need one. Make your home safe. Get rid of the loose rugs. Put in grab bars. It's not giving up. It's digging in. And if you have a parent, a friend, someone going into one of these places, visit, not just on birthdays. Visit on a random Tuesday. Look in their eyes. Ask about their pills. Ask to see the chart. Be trouble, because the quiet ones, the ones without visitors, they are the first to disappear. Don't perform love. Just be there. Watch. Listen. It's the only defense against the silence. There is hope, but you have to be realistic about it. It's not that all places are bad. It's that the system is built on a lie. That old age is a problem to be managed, not a life to be lived. The hope is in refusing that lie. My hope now is in Clara's face when she brings me my tea, made just how I like it, in my own mug. It's in the sunlight through her kitchen window, on my own hands. It's in telling you this. They didn't take my voice. They sharpened it. You still have time. Maybe not years and years, but you have now. And now is enough to choose, to speak, to fight for the person you will become. That person deserves more than a quiet fade out. They deserve a story with an ending you have a hand in writing. And if this story, my story of Walter and Mabel, means something to you, then please help it reach someone else. That's how we fight back. Subscribe to this channel. Turn on notifications. I'm not a regular storyteller, but if there's more to tell, you'll hear it. Give this a like, not for me, but for Walter, for Mabel, for all the voices that were silenced. In the comments, tell me, what's one thing you'll do this week to secure your independence or to check on someone you love? Share that promise. It makes it real. And then share this video. Send it to your family group chat. chat. Post it. You might feel awkward, but it's a conversation that has to start. If you know someone considering a short-term rehab stay, they need to hear this first. There's a story submission form linked below too.